after 3 forbidden bonds.
Caden stood his ground, the weight of Damon's fury pressing down on him like a physical force. His wolf, restless and agitated, urged him to shift, to fight, but Caden held himself in check. The air between them was charged, electric with the promise of violence. But Alana was still between them, her hands outstretched, her voice trembling as she spoke. "Stop! Both of you!" Alana cried, her voice raw with emotion. "This isn't the way to handle this!" Damon's eyes flicked to his daughter, a flash of something akin to concern crossing his features for the briefest moment. But it was gone as quickly as it appeared. He wasn't used to being questioned, not by his daughter, and certainly not by an alpha like Caden. He took a step closer to Caden, his gaze narrowing with deadly intent. "This isn't about handling it, Alana," Damon sneered. "This is about protecting you. Caden has come here to take you from me, to betray our pack." Caden's jaw clenched at the accusation, but he didn't speak. He knew that Damon wouldn't listen to reason, not now, not with his anger boiling over. Instead, Caden's gaze shifted to Alana, searching her face for any sign of doubt, any indication that she might reconsider this bond between them. But there was none. The look in her eyes was steadfast, unwavering, and it tore at Caden's resolve. His wolf howled within him again, urging him to step closer, to claim her. But Caden wasn't ready to give in. Not yet. "I'm not here to take her," Caden said, his voice calm but firm. "I'm not here to steal her away from you, Damon. I'm here because something is happening between us that neither of us can control." Damon's lips curled into a sneer, the sharp lines of his face hardening with disdain. "Don't try to play the noble alpha with me, Caden. I know exactly what you're after. My daughter is not a prize to be won, and you," he pointed a finger at him, the threat in his gesture clear. "You're nothing but a coward hiding behind her." Alana flinched at her father's words, her face flushing with a mixture of anger and hurt. She turned to Damon, her voice trembling as she spoke, but her words were no longer pleading. "I'm not a child anymore, Father. I don't need you to protect me. I can make my own choices." Damon's eyes darkened, his expression turning cold. "You've made your choice then," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "You've chosen him. And I'll do whatever it takes to stop this, to stop him from destroying everything we've built." Caden's heart pounded in his chest, but it was the anger in Alana's eyes that struck him the hardest. She was caught between them, her loyalty to her father, the pack she was born into, and the undeniable bond she shared with him, a bond that had existed long before either of them realized. "Father, please." Alana's voice was barely above a whisper now, but it carried the weight of desperation. "Don't do this. Don't make me choose between you and Caden." Damon's lip curled as he took a step back, his posture still threatening. "It's too late for that, Alana. You've already chosen. And I'll make sure you both regret it." Alana took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but her hands were trembling. She stepped away from her father, her eyes never leaving Caden. "You need to leave. Now." Caden hesitated, but only for a moment. Alana's words rang in his ears, and despite the danger, despite the conflict within him, he couldn't leave her. Not like this. "I'm not leaving you, Alana," Caden said, his voice rough with emotion. "But I won't fight your father. Not like this. I'll go, for now, but we can't ignore this. We can't pretend this isn't real." Alana's gaze softened for the briefest moment, a flicker of something, hope maybe, passing between them. But it was gone almost as quickly as it had come. "You have to go," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Please, before he does something we'll both regret." Caden didn't want to leave. Every fiber of his being screamed at him to stay, to claim her, to fight for her. But Alana was right. Damon was too dangerous, and a confrontation now would only make things worse. He needed to think, to figure out a way to navigate this impossible situation. "I'll be back," Caden said, his voice hardening with resolve. "This isn't over, Alana." Not by a long shot. With one last lingering look, Caden turned and disappeared into the night, his heart heavy with the weight of what had just happened. His mind was a storm of conflicting emotions, rage, desire, and frustration. He could feel the bond between them growing stronger with every passing moment, pulling him back toward her, making him ache to be close to her. But he also knew that the danger was real. Damon wouldn't back down. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was about two packs on the verge of war, and the only thing standing between them was a bond that neither of them could control. Question: can Caden and Alana resist the pull of their bond, or will the forces pulling them together shatter both packs and themselves in the process?
Chapter 4: A Dangerous Alliance.
The moon hung high above the Silverfang Pack's territory, casting a pale light over the trees. Caden moved quickly through the forest, his mind a storm of conflicting thoughts. He had left Alana behind, torn between the love he couldn't deny and the duty he couldn't ignore. But as much as he tried to convince himself that leaving was the right choice, the aching emptiness in his chest only grew stronger. Caden clenched his fists at his sides, the bond between him and Alana like a sharp pull in his heart. He could feel her pain, her confusion, just as she could feel his. The bond they shared was undeniable. But if he didn't stay strong, if he didn't resist the pull, it would tear them both apart. "I have to be stronger than this," he muttered to himself, trying to push aside the voice of his wolf, which howled within him. The wolf wasn't so easily ignored. It wanted its mate, wanted Alana, and no amount of reasoning could silence it. Caden. The voice that called his name was familiar yet unwelcome. He turned sharply to see Ronan, his trusted advisor and friend, stepping out from the shadows of the trees. The older wolf's expression was grim, his eyes serious as he approached. "What's wrong?" Caden asked, trying to steady himself. "Why are you here?" Ronan's eyes flicked briefly to the moonlit horizon before returning to Caden. "I need to speak with you. It's urgent." Caden felt his muscles tense. "What is it?" Ronan hesitated, as though weighing his words. Then he took a step forward, his voice low. "The Crescent Moon Pack isn't just looking to start a war. They're already preparing for one. They're not waiting for you to make a move. They're looking for any excuse to strike first. And I've heard whispers. They're not just after you, Caden. They're after something more." Caden's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" Ronan took a deep breath, his brow furrowing. "I think they've already begun a secret alliance with someone else. A much darker force?" Caden's eyes narrowed. "Who?" "I don't know for sure," Ronan admitted.
"But there are rumors of dark magic at work. Ancient magic that could shift the balance of power between our packs, and if it's true, it could change everything." Caden's wolf growled at the thought of magic, a force that was often unpredictable and dangerous, but it also piqued his interest. What kind of magic? Ronan looked around once more before leaning in closer. "I've heard whispers about an artifact." An artifact that could bond the two packs together forever. But not in the way you'd expect. It would force an eternal loyalty between you and the Crescent Moon Pack, whether you want it or not. It's a dangerous, ancient relic, Caden, and if it's in play, everything changes. Caden swallowed, his mind racing. He couldn't afford to ignore this threat. If Damon had indeed sought out this artifact, it would explain the strange power he had felt when they first met, the unease that had washed over him, the sense that something was off. "Where is it?" Caden asked, his voice steely with determination. Ronan shook his head. "That's the problem. I don't know, but I know that Damon will stop at nothing to find it." Caden turned his back on Ronan, his thoughts spinning. This is getting out of hand. If Damon has a way to control both packs through magic, then we're all in danger. Ronan stepped forward again, his voice urgent. "Exactly. We have to act fast, before it's too late. We need to stop this alliance from forming. But Caden..." Caden turned to face him. "What?" "There's something else." Ronan's voice dropped to a whisper. "I've heard rumors that the artifact is tied to the very bond between you and Alana. If it's activated, it will bond you to her forever. But there's a catch." Caden's heart skipped. What kind of catch? Ronan hesitated, looking deeply into Caden's eyes. "If the bond is completed, it will be impossible for either of you to live without the other. It will become your curse, and not just your own. It will affect your packs, your people."
Chapter 5. Unseen Forces.
The following days blurred together as Caden fought against the chaos within himself. The weight of his bond to Alana pressed down on him like an iron cage, tightening with every passing moment. He had tried to focus on his duties, his pack, but every time he closed his eyes, her face appeared, her green eyes filled with that same painful mixture of longing and fear, haunted him. He couldn't escape the pull. His wolf demanded that he find her, claim her, but Caden knew that doing so would endanger everything: his pack, her pack, and the fragile piece between them. The dark magic tied to the artifact could destroy them both if it were activated. "You're not getting any sleep, Caden." Ronan's voice broke through the fog of his thoughts. He looked up to see his trusted friend standing in the doorway of his study, arms crossed, concern etched on his weathered face. Caden hadn't realized how long he'd been sitting in silence. His mind had been racing, caught between the instinct to claim Alana and the terrifying knowledge of the artifact's power. The curse it might bring, the choice it would force on him. It all seemed impossible. "I'm fine," Caden lied, his voice hoarse. "I've just got too much on my mind." Ronan raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying it. "Too much on your mind? Or too much on your heart?" Caden's jaw tightened at the mention of his heart. His emotions were raw, torn between the overwhelming need to protect his pack and the growing need to protect Alana. He'd never felt so powerless in his life. "It's more than just that," Caden finally admitted, leaning back in his chair, rubbing a hand over his face. "There's something bigger happening, Ronan. Something dark. If Damon really has the artifact, then everything is about to change. I can't just let it happen, but I don't know how to stop it." Ronan stepped forward, his voice dropping to a low whisper. "I've been digging, Caden, and I've found something that might help us, but it's more dangerous than anything we've faced before." Caden sat up straight, the weight of Ronan's words settling heavily on his chest. "What is it?" "There's a legend," Ronan continued, his gaze turning dark. A way to break the bond between you and Alana before the artifact fully activates. But it's not simple. It requires the blood of both you and Alana, and a powerful ritual to sever the connection. Caden's eyes widened, and his wolf stirred inside him, roaring with outrage. Blood? A ritual? Ronan nodded solemnly. It's the only way to prevent the bond from becoming permanent. Once the magic takes full hold, the connection will be irreversible, and both of you will be bound forever. This ritual, it's the only way to stop that from happening. Caden's mind raced. What would happen if the bond is severed? Ronan hesitated, looking away for a moment. If the bond is broken, one of you might not survive. It's a risk, a big one, but it might be the only chance you have. Caden felt the air in the room grow thick, suffocating. The thought of losing Alana, of severing the bond that had grown between them, was unbearable. He didn't know if he could live with that. "I can't just let her go," Caden said, his voice a strained whisper. "She's everything. This bond, it's more than magic. It's real. It's a part of me." Ronan stepped forward, placing a hand on Caden's shoulder. "I know, Caden, but the longer you wait, the harder it will be. The artifact's power is growing. It's not just about love anymore. It's about survival. Your pack's survival. Alana's pack's survival. You have to decide what's more important before it's too late." Caden stood abruptly, pacing the room. His thoughts were a whirlwind. He couldn't let the artifact have that kind of power. But breaking the bond, how could he do that? How could he ever choose between Alana and his people? The image of her face, the fear, the pain, the desperation in her eyes flashed in his mind. He could feel her. The bond was so intense now that he could almost hear her thoughts. It wasn't just his wolf that was calling to her. It was something deeper, something unexplainable. "I have to find her," Caden muttered, more to himself than to Ronan. "I can't wait any longer. If I don't stop Damon, if I don't stop this, it will destroy everything." Ronan nodded gravely. "Then you have to be ready. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes. And you have to be ready for the consequences, Caden. The magic won't forgive you if you're not prepared." Before Caden could respond, a sharp pain pierced his chest. His breath caught in his throat as the bond flared to life. Alana. He could feel her. Her fear, her confusion, her urgency. It hit him like a physical blow. "She's in trouble," Caden said, his voice low with urgency. "I feel her. Something's happening." Ronan's face hardened. "We can't waste any more time. We go now." As Caden and Ronan rushed out of the study, Caden felt a sinking dread in his stomach. The connection between him and Alana was pulsing stronger than ever, pulling him toward her. But with every step he took, the feeling of impending doom grew. Was it too late? Was the artifact already in play? And what would happen when he finally faced Alana again? Would they be able to survive the power of their bond, or would the forces around them tear them apart? Question. Caden is about to face the consequences of the bond he shares with Alana and the dark magic that threatens to consume them both. Will he be able to save her before the artifact's power takes full hold? Or will the price of breaking their bond be higher than either of them can bear? Keep listening as the truth about the artifact and its power is revealed in the next chapter. You won't want to miss it.
Chapter 6. A Heart Torn in Two.
Caden's heart raced as he sprinted through the woods, Ronan at his side. The pull to Alana was stronger now, a constant ache in his chest that grew with each passing second. He could feel her fear, her confusion. The bond was flaring out of control. It was no longer just an instinct. It was a call. He had to reach her. He couldn't lose her. Not like this. Ronan, sensing the urgency in Caden's movements, kept pace beside him, his face grim. "We're getting close," Ronan muttered, his eyes scanning the dark forest around them. The Crescent Moon Pack's territory is just ahead. But Caden, you need to be careful. If Damon is using the artifact, things might not be as they seem. Caden nodded sharply, but his mind was far from Ronan's words. His only thought was on Alana, her safety, her well-being. The fear radiating through their bond was unbearable. He couldn't let anything happen to her. They reached the edge of the Crescent Moon Pack's territory, where the trees grew thicker, their branches twisted like the shadows of ancient spirits. The scent of Alana's pack was heavy in the air, mingling with the smell of danger. Caden's steps faltered for just a moment, the reality of what he was about to do settling in. "I'm not leaving her again, Ronan." No matter what it costs, Ronan's gaze softened, but his voice remained firm. "I know, but you have to stay focused. You're not just saving her, you're saving both packs." Caden's mind flashed back to the legends Ronan had mentioned about the ritual to sever the bond. He'd barely been able to consider it. The thought of breaking the connection between him and Alana was painful, almost unthinkable. But if the artifact was truly in play, the consequences were far worse than anything he could imagine. The sudden crack of a twig underfoot snapped Caden out of his thoughts. He raised a hand, signaling for Ronan to stop. The two of them froze in the shadows, their eyes darting to the clearing ahead. "Do you see that?" Ronan whispered, his voice barely audible. Caden narrowed his eyes. There, just ahead, in the moonlit clearing, stood Alana. But something was terribly wrong. Shadows, dark figures surrounded her. The air shimmered with an unnatural energy, as though the earth itself recoiled from the magic being wielded. "No," Caden breathed, his heart pounding painfully in his chest. She's trapped." The bond between them surged, the pain of it almost overwhelming. He could feel her, but she was distant, lost in the dark magic. The connection that once brought warmth now felt cold, threatening. "We need to act fast," Ronan muttered, his hand on the hilt of his blade. "But be careful, Caden. If this is what I think it is, the artifact's magic is stronger than anything we've encountered before. It's not just a weapon, it's a force." Caden clenched his fists, his eyes never leaving Alana. He had to get to her, had to pull her away from the shadows that were consuming her. The bond was still pulling him forward, but now it felt like a heavy, suffocating chain. His wolf howled inside him, demanding that he reach her, claiming her, making their connection whole. "Stay close," Caden ordered, his voice low, "and don't make a sound." As they approached, Caden could make out the figures surrounding Alana. There were 3 of them, figures cloaked in black, their faces hidden. They moved in a slow, deliberate circle around her, as if they were preparing for something, a ritual. Alana stood in the center, her body tense, but her eyes were closed, as if she were fighting something inside her. The magic around her was palpable, thick in the air, and Caden could feel it clawing at him, trying to pull him in. "Alana," Caden called, stepping into the clearing, his voice rough with desperation. At the sound of his voice, the dark figures froze, turning towards him. Alana's eyes snapped open, her gaze locking with his. For a moment, everything else disappeared. The world faded away, leaving only the two of them. But it wasn't enough. The bond was weakening, the magic swirling between them, pulling her further away. Caden. Alana's voice was barely a whisper, her expression filled with pain and confusion. I don't know what's happening. They've done something. They've bound me to this magic. Caden's heart clenched. I'll get you out of here, Alana. I promise. But his voice trembled with uncertainty. The pull of the bond had never been so strong. If the artifact was truly in play, there was more at stake than just their love. If the ritual succeeded, it would change everything. The figures moved toward him, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. One of them stepped forward, his voice cold and commanding. You shouldn't have come here, Alpha. This bond was always meant to be. You and she are nothing more than pawns in a game far beyond your understanding. Caden's eyes narrowed, his wolf snarling in the back of his mind. Who are you? The figure smiled, his teeth sharp and predatory. We are the keepers of the artifact, and you, Caden, are the final piece of the puzzle. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled, the air growing thick with dark magic. Alana's body jerked as though something was pulling at her from inside, and Caden felt the bond snap like a taut wire, almost breaking. Caden, please! Alana cried out, her voice desperate. Stop them! Caden rushed forward, but before he could reach her, the figures raised their hands. The air exploded with a violent pulse of dark energy, sending Caden stumbling back. Ronan was at his side in an instant, gripping his arm. We have to get her out of here. Now. But Caden wasn't listening. He was already on his feet, his eyes locked on Alana and the dark figures standing between them. He couldn't lose her. Not now. Not when they were so close. Cliffhanger. The figures raised their hands again, the energy crackling in the air, and Caden could feel the bond between him and Alana, reaching its breaking point. With a flash of light, Alana's body fell limp in the circle, the shadows pulling her into the depths of their magic. Caden's heart thudded painfully in his chest as the world around him began to unravel. Question: Caden has reached Alana, but can he save her before the dark magic consumes them both? The artifact is more dangerous than he ever imagined, and every step he takes now leads them closer to a confrontation with forces beyond their control. Will Caden be able to break the ritual before it's too late? Find out in the next chapter, where everything will change.
Chapter 7: The Heart of the Artifact.
Caden's heart hammered in his chest as the dark figures raised their hands once more. The energy around them surged, crackling with power so intense it made the air feel thick, suffocating. Alana's limp body lay in the center of the ritual circle, her eyes closed, her face pale as if the life was slowly being drained from her. He couldn't let this happen. He couldn't let them take her. Alana, Caden shouted, his voice a raw mixture of desperation and fury. The bond between them pulsed again, weaker now, as if it were being torn apart by the dark magic surrounding them. The figure who had spoken earlier, the leader, turned toward him with an eerie smile, his eyes glowing an unnatural green. You're too late, Alpha. The ritual has already begun. Your bond to her was always meant to be broken this way. Caden's wolf howled in his chest, restless and furious, demanding that he break through the magic and claim his mate. The pulse of their bond still called to him, but the magic swirling around them was overwhelming, making it hard to focus. "What have you done to her?" Caden growled, his hands clenched into fists. His entire body vibrated with the need to fight, to protect Alana, but the figures around them were too influential. The leader's smile widened, revealing teeth too sharp, too inhuman. "We have given her what she was always meant to have, a bond with the artifact. This magic, this power, it will bind her to you whether you want it or not, but it will also control her. And when the ritual is complete, you will be bound to us, to the Crescent Moon Pack, forever." The artifact demands it. Caden's blood ran cold. "No, I won't let you do this without thinking." He surged forward, his wolf breaking free, tearing at the surface of his control. His body shifted, the change happening in an instant, claws and fangs extending, his senses heightened to an unbearable degree. The forest around him seemed to pulse with the dark energy, but his focus was entirely on Alana. He had to save her. But as he reached for her, a blast of energy hit him square in the chest, sending him crashing back into the trees. The force knocked the air from his lungs, and he struggled to rise, his body aching from the magical blow. "You cannot stop the ritual," the leader hissed, his eyes glowing with dark power. "Once the artifact's power is awakened, you are bound to us." Forever, Caden's vision blurred for a moment as he fought to stand, the weight of the magic pressing against him like a physical force. But even as he struggled, a new realization hit him. The bond. It was weakening, and not just because of the magic the artifact was draining it, trying to sever their connection.
Alana!
Caden's voice was desperate as he fought through the pain. "I won't let this happen. I swear it." Alana's body shifted slightly in the center of the ritual circle, her eyes fluttering open. For a moment, she seemed to focus on him, her gaze locking with his, and in that instant, Caden knew she could feel him, even if the magic was trying to keep them apart. "Caden, help me." Her voice was barely a whisper, but it cut through the chaos in his mind. "I don't know what's happening to me. I can't control it." Her words pierced him like a dagger. He could feel her pain, her confusion, and his own heart shattered with the weight of it. She was fighting the magic, but it was stronger than she was. The artifact's power was overwhelming. "I'm here, Alana," Caden whispered, his voice low but full of resolve. "I'm not leaving you. Not now, not ever." He forced himself to his feet, the weight of the magic pressing down on him, threatening to crush him. But he couldn't give up, not when she was so close, not when their bond was at its breaking point. Ronan had been silent up until this moment, but now he moved swiftly beside Caden, his sword drawn. "We have to break this, Caden. We can't fight the magic with force alone. You need to reach her. You need to break through to her before the artifact takes full control." Caden turned to him, his gaze sharp and determined. "How?" Ronan's eyes were filled with urgency. "You're not just fighting the magic. You're fighting the bond. If you can reconnect with her, if you can reach her heart, the bond will be restored. The magic might not be able to sever it completely, but you have to act fast." Caden's breath hitched in his throat as the realization hit him. The bond wasn't just something magical, it was something real. It was a part of them both, something that had been built through every moment they had shared, every touch, every whisper. The artifact couldn't erase that. He closed his eyes, focusing on the bond. He could feel it, faint but still there, a flickering thread that connected them, even through the layers of dark magic. "Alana," he whispered, reaching for her through the bond, through the darkness. "I'm here. I'm with you. Fight it. Fight this magic. For a moment, there was nothing. Then, slowly, the connection between them flared, the thread pulsing brighter, stronger. Alana's voice echoed through his mind, soft and full of pain. "Caden, I'm so scared. I don't want to lose you." "You won't," Caden promised, his voice unwavering. "We won't lose each other. I won't let that happen." The figures around them were moving again, preparing to complete the ritual. Caden's eyes snapped open, and with a roar, he surged forward, pushing through the pain, through the magic, toward Alana. He couldn't let them win. He couldn't let this be the end. Caden reached Alana, his hands grasping hers, the bond between them flaring to life with an intensity that made the world around them seem to tremble. The dark magic was pushing against them, but the connection was stronger now, pulling them together, fighting the ritual's hold. But then, just as they were about to break through, the leader stepped forward, raising his hand, and the artifact's power flared, sending a wave of energy crashing toward them. Question: Caden has reached Alana, and their bond is stronger than ever, but the artifact's power still looms, threatening to tear them apart. Can Caden and Alana break free from the dark magic, or will the ritual succeed and bind them forever? The final battle is just beginning. Find out what happens next in the following chapter, where the truth about the artifact and its origins is finally revealed.
Chapter 8. The Price of Power.
Caden's heart raced as he gripped Alana's hands, the bond between them flaring to life with every heartbeat. The dark energy swirling around them was overwhelming, but the connection they shared burned brighter now, stronger than ever. They were close, so close to breaking free of the magic that sought to tear them apart. The ritual was almost complete. The shadowy figures that had surrounded them were now chanting in unison, their voices rising in a sinister harmony, echoing through the clearing. The air was thick with the force of the magic, and Caden could feel it tugging at him, trying to pull him away from Alana. "Caden." Alana's voice was barely a whisper, strained with effort. Her body trembled in his arms as she fought against the pull of the artifact. "It's too strong. I can't hold on much longer." Her words nearly shattered him. Every part of him screamed to protect her, to keep her safe. But the force of the artifact was unlike anything he had ever felt. It wasn't just magic. It was something older, something darker, and it was trying to bond them in a way they had never anticipated. "You have to fight, Alana," Caden said through gritted teeth, his voice filled with desperation. "I know this bond, this magic. It's not us. It's not our love. It's just trying to control us. Fight it, Alana. Please." Alana's eyes met his, wide with fear, but filled with a flicker of hope. "I'm scared, Caden. What if we can't stop it?" Caden squeezed her hands, his wolf growling low in his chest, urging him to break through. "We will stop it. You and me. We're stronger than this." The figures surrounding them began to chant louder, their voices reverberating in the air. The leader, the one who had first spoken, stepped forward, his eyes glowing with dark energy. "It's too late, Alpha," he said, his voice cold and mocking. "The artifact has chosen its path. You and she are nothing more than pieces on a board. You can fight it all you want, but in the end, you will be ours." Caden felt a rush of power surge through him, his wolf, his connection to Alana. Everything they had fought for was now hanging in the balance. He couldn't let them win. "No," Caden growled, his voice low and filled with determination. "You're wrong. The artifact doesn't control us. Our bond is ours. We made it, and we will keep it. With a growl that reverberated through the clearing, Caden's wolf surged forward, pushing against the magic, breaking free from the grasp of the dark forces. The energy crackled in the air, and for a brief moment, Caden felt the full force of the artifact, its power, its malevolent grip on him and Alana. But then, something shifted. The bond between Caden and Alana flared brighter, stronger than before. The darkness that surrounded them began to recede, pushed back by the intensity of their connection. "Caden," Alana gasped, her voice shaking as she looked up at him. "I can feel it. It's fading. The magic, it's losing its hold on us." Caden's heart surged with relief, but it was short-lived. The leader stepped forward again, his face contorting in anger, his hand raised high. "You think you can escape? You think you can break the bond? The artifact's power is eternal. It will bind you to us forever." But Caden didn't hesitate. With a roar, he surged forward, pulling Alana into his arms as the dark magic lashed out at them. The bond between them flared brighter still, a blinding light that pushed back the shadows. For a moment, the world around them seemed to fall away, leaving only Caden and Alana standing together, their hearts beating in perfect unison. And then, everything exploded. A blinding flash of light consumed the clearing, and Caden felt himself thrown back, the ground beneath him shaking violently. The dark magic shattered, breaking apart like glass, and the air became still. Caden's ears rang, his vision blurred, but the first thing he noticed was the quiet. The magic was gone. The dark forces were no longer pressing against him. He scrambled to his feet, his chest heaving with the effort. "Alana!" he called out,
his voice hoarse.
A soft sound like a gasp met his ears. Alana's figure emerged from the light, her eyes wide and filled with confusion. "Caden," her voice was shaky, but it was filled with relief. "Is it over?" Caden stepped toward her, his heart in his throat. He reached for her, his hand trembling as he touched her face, feeling the warmth of her skin, the pulse of life that flowed through her. "It's over," Caden said softly, his voice filled with wonder. "We did it. We broke it. We're free." But as they stood there, the clearing now silent and still, Caden realized that something had changed. Something more profound than the magic, deeper than the artifact. He could still feel the bond between them, but now it was different, stronger, untouched by the magic that had tried to control it. The artifact's power had been broken, but their connection had only deepened. And then, the truth hit him like a blow. He wasn't just connected to her, he was bonded to her forever. And no force in the world, no magic, no artifact, could ever sever that bond. Caden and Alana stood together, the bond between them unbreakable, the dark magic shattered. But as they turned to leave the clearing, a voice echoed through the trees, cold and distant. "This is only the beginning." Caden's heart clenched. He wasn't sure who had spoken, but the warning was clear. The battle might be over, but the war was beginning. Question: Caden and Alana have broken free from the dark magic and the artifact's hold. But the danger isn't over yet. Who was the mysterious voice in that those you battle may be won? The bear. Keep listening to find out what happens next, as Caden and Alana face a future filled with unimaginable challenges and a bond that will be tested like never before.
Chapter 9. Echoes of the Past.
The clearing was silent now, save for the distant rustle of the trees swaying in the wind. The dark energy that had once threatened to consume them was gone, shattered by the strength of their bond. But Caden couldn't shake the uneasy feeling settling deep within him. Though the immediate danger had passed, something was still wrong. He turned to Alana, his eyes searching her face for any sign of what had just happened, but she seemed almost distant. Her expression was soft, nearly lost, as if she was struggling to come to terms with everything that had occurred. "Alana?" Caden called softly, taking a step toward her. "Are you okay?" Alana blinked, her eyes refocusing on him as though waking from a dream. She nodded, but the worry in her eyes didn't disappear. "I don't know." She paused, looking over her shoulder as if she were expecting something or someone. It felt real, Caden. The magic. I could feel it trying to pull me in. And then, when we broke it, I don't know. I've never felt anything like that before. Caden moved closer to her, instinctively wanting to comfort her. He took her hands in his, feeling the warmth of her touch. "It's over. You're safe now." Alana's gaze softened, but her worry remained. "But how can we be sure? What if this is just the beginning?" Caden swallowed hard, her words echoing the fear that had settled in his chest. He had never been so uncertain, not about his own pack, not about his leadership, and certainly not about Alana. The bond between them had been tested, and the artifact had almost torn them apart. But they had survived. Or had they? "I don't know," Caden admitted quietly, his voice heavy with the weight of the unknown. "But whatever happens next, I'll face it with you. I won't let anything tear us apart." Alana gave him a small, bittersweet smile, the bond between them pulsing softly, as if agreeing with his words. But just as she opened her mouth to reply, a voice called out from the shadows.
You think you've won?
Caden froze, his body going rigid. He could feel the air around him grow colder, the tension returning in waves. He turned slowly toward the source of the voice, his wolf instinctively growling within him. From the darkness of the trees, a figure stepped forward, tall and imposing. The moonlight revealed a face that Caden had hoped he would never see again. Damon, the alpha of the Crescent Moon Pack. His eyes glinted with cold amusement as he stepped into the clearing, flanked by several of his warriors. "Damon!" Caden spat, his muscles tensing as the bond between him and Alana flared, protective and urgent. "What do you want?" Damon smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "What I want, Alpha, is what is rightfully mine. The artifact was never meant for you. You may have broken the ritual, but it's not over. Not by a long shot." Caden's hand instinctively went to the hilt of his blade, ready for whatever confrontation was coming. "You're wrong," Caden growled. "The artifact is broken. Your power over us is finished." Damon's smile only widened. "You think so? You really believe that you can destroy centuries of power just by breaking one ritual?" He looked over at Alana, his expression turning calculating. "I gave you a choice, Caden. You could have come to me. You could have been part of something greater. But now, you've made this personal. And I don't take kindly to anyone who tries to steal what belongs to me." Caden took a step forward, his hand tightening around the blade. "What do you mean, steal?" Damon's gaze flicked to Alana, and Caden felt the bond between them flare with heat and unease. "The artifact's power isn't just some trinket, Alpha. It's ancient. It's been passed down through generations, created by our ancestors. It bonds the strongest of packs together. And Alana, Damon's voice turned almost tender as he looked at her, is the key. She was always meant to be mine. You don't realize it yet. Caden's heart thundered in his chest. Alana. The tension in the air was palpable, and Caden could feel it, the dark energy returning, swirling around them like a storm. Damon's presence was like a weight pressing down on him, and he knew that their fight wasn't over, not by a long shot. But what Damon didn't know was that Caden and Alana's bond had already proven to be stronger than any force that could try to break them. Cliffhanger. Damon's words hung in the air like a warning, the dark energy swirling around them, threatening to pull them back into the storm. Caden's grip on his blade tightened, ready to fight, but Damon's warriors were closing in. The battle had only just begun, and the true power of the artifact and the price they would have to pay for it was still to be revealed. Question. Damon has returned, and the true power of the artifact is far from over. Can Caden and Alana stop Damon's dangerous plans, or will the forces he commands tear them apart? The stakes are higher than ever. The war has just begun, and the price of victory may be more than they can afford. Keep listening to find out what happens next.
Chapter 10, The Heart of Darkness.
The clearing was thick with tension, the air crackling with dark energy. Caden stood between Alana and Damon, his body rigid with fury and determination. Damon's words echoed in his mind, but he couldn't allow them to sway him. Alana was not a prize to be claimed. She was his mate, and he would fight for her, no matter the cost. What do you mean, this bond? What are you planning, Damon? Caden's voice was low, controlled, but the anger behind it was palpable. His wolf growled within him, the urge to protect Alana overwhelming. Damon's cold smile widened, and he stepped forward, his eyes glinting with malicious intent. What I'm planning, Caden, is the future. The artifact was never just a trinket. It's a weapon, a key, and Alana is the lock. He turned toward her, his eyes softening in a way that made Caden's blood run cold. She doesn't understand it yet, but she will. She's always been meant to lead, to unite our packs, to bring a power together that no one has ever dreamed of. Caden's eyes narrowed, the truth of Damon's words settling like a weight in his chest. She doesn't belong to you. She never has. Damon's gaze flicked back to Caden, his expression hardening. I don't need her to belong to me. I need her power. You're too blinded by love to see it, but I'm willing to do what it takes to claim it. Caden stepped forward, instinctively putting himself between Damon and Alana. You won't touch her. The tension between them crackled like a storm, and for a moment, everything went still. But then Damon raised his hand, a subtle gesture, and Caden felt the air shift around them. The ground beneath his feet seemed to tremble as Damon's warriors moved closer, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. You think you can protect her? Damon sneered. You can't even protect yourself. You're weak, Caden. All of you are. Alana's eyes flicked to Caden, her fear evident, but she also seemed to be struggling with something deeper, something she couldn't control. The magic of the artifact's power was still laced through her, trying to pull her in. Caden, she whispered, her voice shaky. I don't know what's happening to me. Caden reached out to her, his hand trembling slightly as he touched her arm. Don't worry, Alana. We'll figure this out together. I won't let them take you. Damon's laughter cut through the air, dark and cold. You're too late. The bond has already begun to shift. The artifact's magic is already inside of you, Alana. You can feel it, can't you? Alana's eyes widened, her breath catching as the magic flared once more, trying to break through. Caden could see the strain on her face, the way she was fighting the pull of it. But even as she struggled, there was something else in her eyes, something that was hard to read. "I can feel it," Alana whispered, barely audible, "but I don't know what it wants from me." Caden's heart clenched. "Don't listen to it. Don't let it control you." And then, in that moment, everything shifted. Caden's vision blurred as the power of the artifact surged once more, and he realized with a terrible certainty that the magic wasn't just trying to control Alana, it was trying to control him as well. "It's not just you, Caden," Damon said, his voice a whisper of dark amusement. "The artifact's power is in you now too. It's been inside you since you first laid eyes on her, and the more you fight it, the stronger it gets. The connection between you and Alana is not a bond, it's a curse, and it will consume you both." Caden staggered back, the weight of Damon's words hitting him like a physical blow. He could feel the power, the suffocating grip of the artifact's influence tightening around his chest. The magic wasn't just pulling at Alana anymore, it was pulling at him. The bond between them was becoming something else entirely, something darker. Alana gasped, her body jerking as if she had been struck. The energy between them flickered, growing unstable. Caden reached for her, but the pull of the artifact's magic was too strong. She was slipping away from him. "Caden," Alana gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't want this. I don't want to lose you." Caden's chest tightened with fear. He had always known that the bond between them was powerful, but now he realized that it wasn't just love. It was a force beyond their control. It was something that could destroy them both. "You're not going to lose me," Caden said fiercely, his voice filled with determination. "We're in this together. We'll fight it, Alana. We'll fight it together." But just as he reached for her, the ground beneath their feet shook violently, and Damon's warriors advanced, their dark energy rising like a storm. "It's too late," Damon whispered, his voice filled with triumph. "The artifact's power is complete. You and Alana are mine now. You'll either submit to it, or you'll die trying to resist." Caden's heart raced as the air around him thickened with power. The force of the artifact was overwhelming, and he could feel the bond between him and Alana flickering in and out of focus. The connection that had once felt like a light now felt like a curse, threatening to consume them both. "We'll never submit to you," Caden growled, his voice filled with fury, "and I'll never let you take her." With a roar, Caden surged forward, his wolf breaking free once again. The energy in the clearing cracked, and the air burned with the intensity of the battle. Caden and Alana's bond flared brighter, but so did the power of the artifact. And in that moment, Caden realized the actual cost of their connection. The artifact wasn't just a tool, it was a living force, and it had one purpose: to control them, to bind them, and to shape the future with its power. But Caden refused to let it. The battle between Caden and Damon's forces raged around them, the power of the artifact threatening to tear them apart. Caden and Alana's bond flared once more, its intensity pushing them to the edge. But the question remained, could they truly break free from the artifact's grip, or was the price of their power too high to pay? Question. Caden and Alana are facing the ultimate test, their bond stronger than ever, but the artifact's magic is closing in. Can they defeat Damon and his forces, or will the artifact's power destroy them? The war for their souls has just begun. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out the next chapter.